Hello everyone, welcome to the Sea Live podcast. My name's Sam. As always, I've got my trusted friend and podcast sidekick, Mr. Chris Vance. How you doing, mate?
How are you, mate? You alright?
All good, all good. Some new news coming out from Downing Street. You can be in a bubble now with another household.
Oh, can you?
You can be in another bubble, so you've got to choose a bubble.
I don't know what bubble I'll choose, to be honest with you, mate.
But there you go. Anyway, tonight's podcast, we've got no sponsor, so do whatever we want. But tonight's Sea Live guest, he's a Liverpool singer-songwriter who's had an unbelievable 18 months, absolutely unbelievable. Trained as an electrician, ditching the day job, is now living his best life. He's performed in front of 60,000 people at the Champions League final fan park event. And his new album, We Get By, is available to pre-order and stream on music services from the 21st of order. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jamie Webster. How you doing, mate?
Hey!
Yeah, what's happening, fellas? You all right? Yeah, nice one for having me on.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Absolute
game.
pleasure. Now, reading that intro, 60,000 people, Champions League final fan park event. What goes through your mind? That is just unbelievable. Tell us.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really ever sit in with you, you know, that you've actually done something like that. I mean, I just remember the hour that I was on stage, I gave it everything I had, and thankfully there's loads of videos to remind me that it was real, you know what I mean? I tend not to look at them too much, but, you know, I think it was the 1 year anniversary not too long ago, and I do that. I won't lie, I spent a couple of hours looking at videos from that day, you know, from all different angles and parts of that fan park. It was just, yeah, it's probably I don't think many, as a musician, I don't think you can ask for much more, do you know what I mean? I'd be very, very lucky if I got to do something like that again, you know, and it's a day that I'll have with me for the rest of my life, and it's definitely one for the grandkids, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, it's one of those days where it kind of makes football history, but then you become part of that history, if you know what I mean. People will remember that moment as a fan, as a player, even will know what's going on outside the ground for the atmosphere. It must just be amazing to be a part of something so special for the Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah, I mean, like, first and foremost, I was a fan, wasn't I? So, like, well, I still am a fan, but, like, you know, for years and years and years before all this, you know, I was a football fan and following Liverpool around the country and across Europe every single week was what I done. That was how I chose to spend my life. So, like, obviously now looking back, that I had such a part to play in one of the biggest days of, you know, sort of my era following Liverpool. Yeah, you do. You pinch yourself, and, like, you know, it's the only thing that could have topped it would have been playing on the pitch that night. Do you know what I mean? It's the only thing that I think you could have topped it with, or sitting next to Jurgen Klopp on the bench. Do you know what I mean? I just, like, as a fan, it's like it's a dream come true. Like to as a musician as well. At the same time, you know, to have that much interaction from 60,000 people. It's like it's you can't really put into words. I don't like. Yeah. I think maybe if you were to do it all the time, I think you could maybe describe it a bit better. But because it was just a one-off, unbelievable sort of adrenaline and, like, ecstasy-filled moment, you know what I mean? It was just like, when I say ecstasy, I don't mean like in the terms of drugs. I just mean like natural, ecstatic feeling. You know, like, you know, yeah, standing euphoria, just standing on that stage.
Do you remember doing it? Is it a blur or do you remember standing?
I don't remember every second of it. Don't get me wrong. I hadn't drank a drop of alcohol that day because I wanted to make sure that I was, like, on point. It was the biggest day of my life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to make sure that I remembered everything. But yeah. I think the adrenaline probably took a bit of the memory away from me. You know what I mean? I remember looking out and just seeing absolute chaos at various different points. And I remember going onto the stage. I remember the Van Dijk song. And I remember LA at the end. They're like the three like big points, yeah. You know. And actually, Paddy the Baddy as well, the cage fighter from Liverpool. He's a mate of mine. Yeah, he's great, Paddy. I actually spotted him in the crowd. He was sat on top of like about 3,000 or 4,000, maybe even more, probably about 10,000 deep. and I just seen this blonde, long hair come on top of like this not the monument, but it was almost like it was like a raised bit.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. He was sat. There was loads of people on there, but I noticed him, and I actually led on to him halfway through the gig. Was at the right pad, and I seen him looking round to think, because he actually spotted me there, and then he put his hand back up, and yeah, they're the things I remember about the day, and obviously having my family and girlfriend behind me on the stage as well. Do you know what I mean? And all the lads from Boss Night. That was like, yeah, it was an unbelievable experience. But then, you know, we got to go on and win the European Cup after that, so it got better. Do you know what I mean? It was a cracking day. Do you know, obviously it's like the...
Take it all the way back and tell us how you got into music. Has music always been in your life? Did you learn guitar from a young age? How did you get into music?
Well, my mum, funny enough, my mum loved music. My mum and dad both love music, different genres, different styles, like equally. But my mum, like, sort of taught herself guitar when she was younger, but she didn't. I think she taught herself a couple of chords and then forgot them. So, like, she always said that one of the biggest regrets was not being able to play an instrument. You know, she'd love to be able to play. So she said she always wanted their kids to play music, and me being a 8-9-year-old that I was when she wanted me to get guitar lessons, I just wanted to play football in the streets and, you know, ride around on my bike and, you know, be a little tearaway sort of thing. So, my mum, like, obviously used to take me to lessons and stuff. After this place around the corner from my primary school, which done like music lessons, and I used to go there, but I'd never practiced. You know, like in the week, I just never ever practiced in between my lessons, and like once I got to about 10, then she realised like that I just didn't really like it, and it wasn't something that that either of us thought I was going to do. But it was funny because she always used to say to me when I was learning, "You'll thank me one day. You'll thank me one day." And I never thought that day would come, because I thought, well, what am I going to do with guitar? And then once it was about, I always loved listening to music, loved singing. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I didn't enjoy music. Just playing classical guitar really wasn't something that I wanted to do. And I listened to a lot of dance music and rap as a kid. And then when I got to like 30, and I used to listen to, like, my mum used to love Genesis and Bowie. My dad loved the Squeeze.
Oh yeah.
Well, not just Squeeze. My dad loved a lot of Rat Pack as well, Motown. So I always like listened. I knew a lot of music. Do you know what I mean? And once I discovered the likes of the Beatles, Oasis, when I was about 13, 14, Kings of Leon, their early stuff was just amazing. And yeah, it just like I got a book for it then, like most kids who play guitar now did. Do you know what I mean? You're just infatuated by Oasis and the Beatles. Like, well, the Beatles sort of edged me in with certain songs because we were learning about them in music at the time in school, and I remember like them sort of paving the way. But once I got into Oasis, like I literally learned. I think once I decided, like, you know what, I'm going to pick that guitar back up. I'm going to play it. I taught myself a couple of chords, and thankfully my finger sort of shapes were still. You know what I mean, I'd still sort of my muscle memory of it was. I'd remembered, and I just started strumming and playing a couple of chords, and Oasis was just like, I think the first song I learned was "I'm Out of Time" by Oasis, the last album they done, and I remember singing it, and then it was like learned Songbird, and just remember just nailing 40, 50 Oasis tunes, you know, like to just sort of get me, and then from there it just like I just developed then, and I'd say Bob Dylan is my biggest influence out of anyone, you know, like in the music industry, because while Oasis, Beatles, like obviously being from Liverpool, obviously paved the way in the music industry for rock and roll in a way, you know, over here. But Bob Dylan was like the stories that he told in his music. It was like he just spoke to me so much, and I just remember thinking, like, I remember him seeing a quote that he'd said, and it was like, I've actually used it for my last single release, but he said, I've got 3 anything else is jazz or something like that, he said.
Wow.
And I thought, you know what, like, if he can do that in them chords and telling what he thinks is the truth, and, you know, speaking from his perspective and just like laying everything out or open and honest on the table. Like I can do that as well. And you probably listen if you listen to my songs. It's the lyrics are quite strong in all of them. You know, the lyrics are always thought through. They're not just sort of a couple of cliche lines thrown together or anything like that. There's always another meaning or a story or a bit of depth to me lyrics, and that's all come from Dylan. Like it's just, and people like Johnny Cash as well, like had a massive part in like particularly later developments. But yeah, that's how I sort of got into it.
What was your first gig? I always remember my first gig. There was a bass line, and the lead guitarist he was like, "Right, I've smashed this for everyone." And the bass line, the lead guitarist's head just fell off, and the bass line went off for about 10 minutes. It was the most horrendous moment ever. And everyone has that first gig when they just get on stage and it's horrendous, the nerves, and something goes wrong. What was your first gig?
My first gig was in not the Cabin Club, the Cabin Club.
Cabin.
Do you ever remember the Cabin at the top, opposite the bombed out church, downstairs in there? A few lads from our pracky room that we had at the time, like the lads in the band next door. They're one of their brothers, and like all their family basically worked in there, and they used to do like Friday nights DJing, and then they got this chance to put like a couple of bands on. So they went round the pracky rooms asking who wanted to play, and we'd never even, like I say, we'd never even thought about gigging at that point, and we had something to work towards. Then it was like I was in a band at the time, and don't get me wrong, I can't remember much of the gig, but I remember being that nervous that I was just looking at the microphone the whole gig. So I was singing I was just looking at the microphone, and I don't know what it sounded like out front, you know what I mean? And the PA system was like, I don't even know if it was a PA system, do you know what I mean? But it's just like that. It's a good way to learn, and like you get over your nerves quickly. Obviously, it was my first ever gig, so I had loads of family there, loads of friends there, so they were all dead supportive and clapped their heads off after every single song and that. But yeah, I always remember it being really, particularly then, it was really, really nerve-wracking. But
hard work to get time, even when you've done some amazing gigs, but you never forget that first gig. It's just horrendous.
No, and like I say, it's quicker for me. I mean, we actually played the gig. I remember this is actually like towards the end of the band, and this is probably why it was towards the end of the band. But we played a gig in the shipping forecast, and a band from Wales who literally, I think they'd sold like 20 tickets. Like shipping forecast only holds 150 anyway, but it was on a Thursday night, and these tickets were £8, and we were like 15, 16, and we were like, we said to the promoter, like, who do you think is going to pay £8 to come on a Thursday night to come and watch us support this Welsh band? Like, it's not you. We're not going to sell any tickets. So obviously we weren't getting paid for the gig, but we still turned up, and there was nobody in the room by the time it was our time to. Well, we sound checked. So we finished sound check, and we said, right, what time are doors open? He said, doors opened 5 minutes ago. You're on stage in 10. Oh God! Literally. So we played the gig with nobody in the room, and towards the third to last song, the bass player's ma turned up to give us a bit of support and give us a lift home, and like that was and funny enough, I had never played the shipping forecast again, and I still haven't, because I was meant to do it for my single release, my debut single.
Oh yeah.
And it sold out in like 5 hours, so we upgraded the venue. Yeah. So from playing to no one there and the venue selling out in a matter of hours, it was just like, it was a nice, I made up, to be honest, double memories of that place. But yeah, the early gigs are always ones that probably stick in your mind more, I suppose, because you feel absolutely every second of them. Like as you know, Chris, being a musician yourself, like there's a time when you're playing that much and you're playing live that much, it's like a second nature to you. Yeah. And like, particularly with some of the Liverpool gigs that I do, I can be absolutely drained, dead, buried in the backstage room before the gig. Like, you'd probably walk in sometimes and think, how's he going to get up and do what he does? But as soon as you step onto that stage and you feel the people in the room and you're that used to it, you perform and you don't even think about it, but you display it. You're running on adrenaline there, and it's all there. It just comes to you, but it's like a second nature. But early on, when you're trying to find your groove and you're trying to find that sort of presence that you have on stage and build it, it's really hard. So, like you say, you feel absolutely every moment of the gig. But now for me, like, even though I know they're enjoyable, and I've only got to look at the crowds to know I'm doing my job. But it is sometimes gigs can pass you by and you think, well, I know, like, where did that time go? I felt like I was on stage about 5 minutes there. Do you know what I mean? Because it's that natural.
Do you feel like Liverpool has got a sound? I've always said Liverpool's got a unique sound. It's like a jingly jangly kind of open.
Yeah, it's almost it's like bedroomy, isn't it? It's like bedroomy, isn't it? Almost.
Yeah.
It's like
that, because you've got a distinct sound as a guitarist. As a guitarist in Liverpool myself, we've all got a sound, but you've got such a distinct upstroke down sound. Where did that come from?
Well, to be honest, I remember it in the Arctic Monkeys song I covered in that years ago, A Certain Romance, and it literally it's upstrummed for most of the way.
Yeah.
And I just remember playing it on the acoustic years ago, and then Jerry Cinnamon brought out a lot of stuff with an upstrum in, and I thought, like, that's a brilliant, particularly when it's just me and a guitar. I thought, what a better way to get people dancing than to have that beat off the top of your guitar, and it just sort of developed, and it just started to work. Like, yeah. I think I trialed it once, and it just, like, the crowd just sort of go for it, because it's the most natural thing to dance to on the beat every time.
It's that beat.
What I mean? Yeah, and it's like you just start tapping your feet automatically. Do you know what I mean? When you hear it, and it it developed my live game so much more. Like, developing that stuff, and also, like, I hit the guitar like 10 times harder than anyone should hit the guitar. Do you know, like, I snap strings every 2 gigs at least, you know what I mean? And these are like 12, 13 gauge acoustic strings, do you know what I mean? Like, they just, I've always had that sort of raw and heavy-handed approach towards the guitar. I think.
Do you have a heck as well?
No, I think it's like 63.
To get that upstroke rhythm, but just heavy.
Yeah, just heavy on the beat and heavy coming down on it, and even when I'm playing singular notes, I tend to make them quite stabby and, like, almost angry. You know what I mean? It's like I try and make the guitar sound angry and like almost, particularly with the Liverpool gigs, try and make it sound like like as if it's like my battle weapon. You know what I mean? You're going, like, you want it as loud and sort of rootsy and, like you say, raw as it can be. Just more whole.
And I think that's stemmed from your kind of career so far, hasn't it? You've got a unique sound. You've got lyrics that kind of, in your new stuff, which we'll talk about a bit later on. You've got a unique little sound, which is what I think is making you different. And I think that's working from coming from, like, the Boss Nights to your originals. Why it'll work, because I think you've took that approach into your original music as well, so it's working, I think.
Yeah, no, it's right. I mean, it's real. Do you know what I mean? It's I haven't tried to. I think it's sort of just what's come out of me. I haven't tried to force it in any way, or I haven't sat down for hours and thought, like, how can I make this sound seem this way? It's just like, it's just me, I suppose. Yeah, it's just there. It's raw. It's ready. It's real, particularly with the lyrics, and it is me. I'm not the greatest guitarist in the world. I'm not the greatest singer in the world, but I can entertain people in my own way, and, like, I've got a little something unique. I'd like to think about myself, and yeah, hopefully it's enough to keep people interested and keep people listening. Do you know what I mean?
There's certainly enough listening on Spotify.
Yeah. I mean, say Weekends in Paradise is approaching 1 million now. It's just gone up to 900,000, but that does about 30,000 streams. It should be, we're talking 1 million within maybe a month, which would be amazing to have. Like when it's not a Liverpool song,
Yeah.
Released on Friday. That's up to 30,000 streams now, which is in less than a week. I'm made up with the support I get on Spotify. Everything, I'm also overwhelming when the people are taking the time to listen to your music, and it's just I'm just grateful for it.
Where did as I say, the Boss Night was where you made your name and you're taking off. How did the Boss Nights come about? Did you just do a gig and you started singing the Liverpool songs and?
No, not at all. It was basically Boss Night was originally a fanzine magazine called Boss Mag.
Right.
And it's been started up probably about 13, 14 years ago, the magazine.
Okay.
And it wasn't really particularly about football. It was more about what you'd done on your way to football or what you'd done on the way home, or about someone who missed the train home from Brighton away and ended up having to jump on a National Express but got stuck in halfway home, and you know what I mean? And just like really like stuff that happens to the everyday person, like Liverpool, and stories about like what's like a Scouse outfit to wear and what's like a not Scouse outfit to wear, and just like all sorts of little funny anecdotes and stories and shit like that. So it had a lot of the local Liverpool fans, and really like just everyone, the magazines would sell out every time. Right. So they decided that they'd use this platform to basically, because Liverpool were playing a lot of games on a Sunday at the time. This is going back now probably about 10 years, about 9-10 years. And he said, well, why don't we start something up on a Sunday where we have all local musicians playing in town after Liverpool game. Right. And all every week who sort of know each other. They can all go there and they can let their hair off, and they can continue the match day then. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sort of thing. And it just started off like local bands and solo artists playing not Liverpool songs, just original material and covers as well. Just to place some people somewhere to go. It was just more about doing something for the hardcore Liverpool fans, for them to somewhere to congregate together after the football and like feel part of something. And obviously at this time I'd split up with like all the bands that I was in, and I was playing cover gigs around town just on the acoustic. Yeah. And I'd started going to match home and away. A few of the lads off on my coach just in a couple of weeks called Boss Night. They do a few of them. I think I'd been to one of them before, but it was dead busy and dead sweaty, so we sort of just hung around outside. I was only about 17, so we hung around outside and got off. But then I remember they said, well, why didn't you ask the lads if you can play? Be worth it. You're only going to be around anyway. We'd be going to match. So, and it was after a derby. I think it was that we played Everton, and I think Everton might have finished above us actually. That's how long ago it was. And I think it was a 0-0 draw. It was a really boring game. And I played in Oscar's bar, just like 6 covers at the start of the set. Yeah. But because everyone in the room sort of knew who I was through going to the match, like you recognised the face. I don't think I even sort of believed that I could play guitar, and just because the type of character I am, and the support I received straight away was overwhelming. I'd never had like a reaction like that before at one of my gigs. Even though I was just playing covers, it was a great feeling. And the lads up in Jono, they just said to me, come back, we'll be able to put you on the next one, we'll give you the better slot, because you really impressed us there, everyone did. So that just started moving up and up the bill, and I literally started headlining them shows, not singing a single Liverpool song. It was just like I was just doing covers. And then all of a sudden, like Brendan Rodgers came and we started challenging for the league title, and there was also loads of inspiration knocking around, amongst Jordan Henderson was playing unbelievable at the time, was sort of prevalent, and these like little songs like started getting made up between me and the fans actually at the gigs, like as I was on stage, and we'd sing them for hours and hours on end, the same song, just like because it was that good, and that's how it sort of started to build. the club started to get involved then because they'd seen footage on social media.
Yeah.
The club then, where the Liverpool songs fully came in, Liverpool SC asked me to provide some audio for a documentary called Liverpool Sound, and it's about the Liverpool songs. So they give me 15 to 20 Liverpool to learn for this documentary. So then me, obviously having all my residencies around the pub as a cover artist and playing the boss nights, I've just been given a blessing in disguise, really, because I learned 20 Liverpool songs. And as soon as I started playing them in my sets, it just started to, like, it was like sort of, no one had done that before. And, you know, certainly not while I'd been playing music. You know what I mean? It was unheard of for someone to play Liverpool songs at a gig. And started doing it, and just, like, the rest is history, really. It just spiraled, and like some Mo Salah songs in LA just me completely, you know, further than ever. Then that, you know, where I am now, and it's led me to, you know, releasing an album and everything. So it's just
let's talk about the album then. So it comes out on the 21st of August this year. I bet a lot of stuff's been cancelled because of this bloody virus.
I mean, most of the stuff that I had booked in was this summer was UFC related gigs. We were due already, and you know that should come back sooner rather than later. But you know, I basically first big title in 30 years. Every Liverpool fan around the world wants a title winning party at some time, and because of obviously my role over the last 18 months playing for fans around the world, a lot of them parties wanted Jamie Webster to come and play for them, and honestly, I was absolutely all over the globe, like, in this period, and it would have been like the summer of my life, really. And obviously, a lot of it, I don't know if they've been 100% cancelled. I'm sure we'll reschedule them, but you know, unfortunately, you know, it's put on a hold. But I'm not the only one who's not gigging at the moment, and I'm not the only one who was going to have a sort of breakthrough summer, if you like. And you know, like, everybody's had to compromise this thing. So, you know, I've just been trying to make the best of a bad situation and get myself fit, write a couple more songs, and learn a little bit of recording and stuff like that.
You've seen you've been out on your bike with Timo and Dave.
Yeah. we go out every Friday morning at 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
And we get out and we do about 30 kilometres, and we get home before anyone's left for work. It's great. Once a week we've done for about the last month. It's been great. Just, you know, get out that early on the bike. There's no one on the road, so you feel like you've got the whole city to yourself. It's just, and then you feel so alive.
It's good company to have.
Well, Timo's like
to be with, yeah.
Yeah, Timo's one of the most wacky people, like, you'll ever meet, but like in the best way possible, you know what I mean? And he's sure in Timo, he knows absolutely all sorts of facts about Liverpool as a city and the history of, like, different areas. When you're on your bike with him, he tells you these things, and you're like absolutely gobsmacked. And it's like, honestly, to hang down with Timo, it's a privilege that everybody should have at least once in their life, because
he's great.
Timo's made me a better person, and like, I've looked up to Timo a lot because we can see in the past with the Maybes and obviously the T Street Band. And like, when I was signing my record deal, and even when I have problems now, not just with my own music, but it's not all smooth sailing on the road. And you know, when I have problems, he's a good person to talk to, and he's just great. And Dave took a chance on me with my own music and gave me a record deal, and he's, you know, had an awful lot of my success over the last couple of years. Well, not over the last year to Dave, you know. So yeah.
Because one of the things I wanted to ask you, obviously the album's coming out. How easy is it to write a song? Because you've got an album there of 10, 11 songs, I'm assuming. But what's your process in writing a song? Because obviously you're famous for doing these covers. and obviously this is a big step for yourself, releasing an album of originals. What's your process? Are you more of a writing the words down first and then coming up with the tune, or is it the other way around?
Well, I don't necessarily have a process. I've written songs either way round, really, you know what I mean? Sometimes you're thinking about something and lyrics can just literally come to your head. And, the lyrics will start writing themselves in your head. So you get a piece of paper and you'll write them down, or you write the ideas down. And you might have an idea for the melody for them lyrics in your head, or you might not. You might just have literally like a poem in your head, just line after line after line. And I've done things that way before, and I tried to build the music around the lyrics. But like lately I found a good way to do it is I try and work out a sort of chord progression, something that's nice, something that's sort of like a little bit catchy, and then I'll hum my vocal melody to that. But I'll trial like 2 or 3 different vocal melodies to that. So I'll be stumbling along and I'll be and then like I might try something else and go like, and you could literally, and I'll choose, and I'll return. So I'll record that. I'll have 3 voice recordings on my phone of me playing the guitar with me humming this melody along to it. So if I think the melody's catchy enough and I've worked it out how I want it to, I'll then try and write lyrics to fit in with the melody. But one thing is I say it with my songwriting, every song, like I said before, every song has a concept, like I don't just put it out there for the sake of putting words to the music. I like to think that it's like with the album, for example, the whole album is like a concept album. It takes you on it. I like songs and particularly albums to take you on a journey. So like I've got like I don't want to give too much away, but I've structured the track listing of the album in a way that it tells a sort of story. It's like the middle part of the album is quite political, and then the end of the album is quite celebratory. After the album asks like not so much political questions, but asks questions of like people of working class people and documents the lives of working class people. Do you know what I mean? And it's very like I haven't just written it like single by single. I'm trying to take people on a journey. You know what I mean? I think that's what music should do. I just think.
Yeah, I think the single song's got to give, which is out. It came out on the 5th of June.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the lyrics on that one. When I've listened to it, they're completely kind of different from what I've heard from you before. They're quite powerful lyrics, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm just getting a charger here. Just flap it on.
I tell you what, while Jamie is sorting out his phone with a charger, it's a good opportunity to follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. On Facebook we are C Live, on Twitter we are C Live Entiter1, and on Instagram we are C Live UK. Make sure you go and follow us on all those social medias, and also check out our website as well. Our website is www.clive.co.uk, and you can find a plethora of artists, acts, everything from solos, duos, tributes, bands. Obviously, lockdown is coming to an end, so there's going to be lots of parties, hopefully garden parties, that people are wanting maybe some form of entertainment. If you are looking for some form of entertainment, get in touch with us and we'll be able to provide that for you. Are you sorted, Jamie?
Yeah, but you know,
I think he's sorted.
Yeah, I'm all good.
Excellent. Well, like we said, We Get By is available on the 21st of August this year. Obviously available on iTunes, Spotify, all music services. The single itself is unbelievable, and like you said, the themes of the political vibes are unbelievable, and it really is a strong message, and I honestly can't wait to hear the full thing, mate.
Yeah, as you say, it's been like when you're a kid, you think about like, especially when you're a kid in a band as a youngster, you look at like you think recording a song is like the penultimate sort of like holy grail, and then you think you look at people. I remember looking at people who were like a few years older than me doing albums, and you think, wow, you know, like how good must they be to do an album? I'd love to do an album one day. And then you hear about people who were doing albums in Park Street, and you'd be like, Jesus, they're doing an album in Park Street. Like, imagine that. And like, you know, that's what I've got a lot of that. Yeah, but I've got a lot to thank Dave for. It's like Dave sort of made my dream come true and give me that opportunity to do an album and do it to like a high quality. You know what I mean? I don't know about like if people don't like the tunes, but one thing the production on the album is absolutely unbelievable. I worked with two brilliant engineers and producers in Rich Turvey and Chris Taylor, just like second to none really. Like I've heard, like even though the other lads who are recording music in different places, working with different producers, I'm listening to their music, and while the tunes are great, the production just doesn't come close to some of the production, you know, on some of my tracks, and that's not taking anything away from the artists. It's or putting anything towards me. It's just literally the production, like out of the lads who work in Park Street, is absolutely unbelievable.
The strings in the new single are just brilliant. They come in halfway through and then they just carry your message on the song, because the song is quite. It's got a bit of political statements in, hasn't it? It's got in the middle.
It's massively political. Like, well, you know, I wrote that song, obviously, I know we're not talking too much about politics, but I wrote that song when, at a time, it wasn't wrote like quite recently, it was just, I think it just sort of fell well the time that I released it, that all this is going on in the world, but, you know, I wrote it at a time when I was really, really frustrated by politics and felt like you know, it was just a game to some people, and looking at Donald Trump and Boris Johnson in charge, I was just like, these people, how are these people political leaders? They're absolute fools, they're clowns. And I just thought, well, you know, I'm the best way to get out my frustration would be to write it down in a song. And there it was. And funny enough, Dave, I remember writing Something's Gotta Give in my practice room in town, and I recorded it on my phone and sent it to Dave straight away. And his reply was actually, I think this is your best song. I think this is this is. I mean,
you say stories and your vocal changes, the strings are at the right. It just makes a bit of an impact at that moment.
Yeah,
you only say it once. You say it once, and that's it.
Yeah, just once. But it's all about capturing it. Like that's one thing that these producers and like people in the music industry have taught me. It's about like capturing the drama of I'm telling stories, so you've got to capture the drama in the story, and you've got to do it the right way. And like, thankfully, the producers sort of I had the vocals all me, but the way the strings have been put in, like you say, to really harness the drama and harness the emotion in what I'm saying, it's brilliant. So yeah, I can't thank the lads Rich and Chris at Park Street.
Listen to it. It's on all platforms out now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And the album's available to pre-order as well from the website on Townsend Music Distribution. I've got my own sort of page on there, and also it's in all my bios. But you can, like you say, you can pre-order it now on iTunes. I think if you've bought the original, if you've already bought the 4 songs that I've already produced, I think you can buy the album on iTunes for like £3.69. So
that's,
you know,
right. Because it's like that is because you do inspire the kids out of the when I'm not working with Sam for C Live. I teach music, teach guitar as well. Like Charlie, we know Charlie together. He's played your Boss Kids nights and stuff like that. But they're always saying, "Oh, play LA," and so you do inspire the kids to pick up guitar because they're into football. I've always said in Liverpool, you either play footy or you play music. And And they all want to play the songs. They want to play the LAs. They want to play the Van Dyke song, and keep them coming, mate, because it inspires kids to play music. It really does.
No, it does. I mean, I can't ever remember seeing so many videos of singing, and that's because it's close to the football and stuff like that. And like, you wouldn't believe the amount of videos I get sent from parents, like, just saying, "Oh, this is me, like, 18-month-old lad," and he watches your video, and like, these babies can't even talk, and they're watching videos of me like hitting a guitar because they think that's what. Like, my little nephew, he's turned 2 in March, and he sees me playing the guitar, and he got a little guitar for his birthday, and he thinks he's playing it like his Uncle Jay, and it's great. But like, obviously, even the kids, like, around, I think kids around 13, 14 are getting into playing the guitar. They're probably not getting up to as much mischief as they would be out on the streets, or, you know what I mean, they're probably staying out of trouble. And yeah, it's amazing that, like, you think that I think what this Singer Liverpool songs it sort of like started a little trend, hasn't it? Like, I think it happens a long time ago in the 50s and 60s. I think people used to play footy songs in the pub that they'd made up and all that, little fellas with the guitars, and it seems like it's come back around a little bit. But I'm just like I say, I feel really lucky to be at the forefront of that. If you like, and like inspiring kids, and like you say, the kids from 18 months up to bloody 18 years of age, I'm getting videos, do you know what I mean? Like, of them playing the guitar, or their versions of the Liverpool songs, and you can't help but take pride from it, you know what I mean? It's like... You're
hitting a market that's doing well. The Liverpool are playing well at the moment. Music has always been a massive influence in this city. Whatever the city has produced, there's always been a musical heritage knocking behind it. And I think it's good that both are connected now with the Liverpool playing well. You can entertain everyone. There's a buzz in the city.
Yeah, like I say, it's probably, there's probably never been a better time, apart from this, like, obviously, before COVID, like, the last 18 months, there's probably never been a better time to be a Liverpool fan with everything that's going on at the club. Unbelievable manager, unbelievable players, like, winning trophies. Fans, the atmosphere at Anfield's picking up again. There's all these unbelievable events for fans. There's all these platforms where you can get all this great content as a Liverpool fan. So obviously you can come to a Boss Night and carry on your match day experience. You can come and see, it's not just me now. There's all sorts of kids playing Liverpool songs in all the pubs around match days. You know what I mean? You can go and see either one of them and feel part of something. You can look at the Anfield Raps content. You can look at Redmen TV's content. There's absolutely loads of stuff out there now as a Liverpool fan where you can get loads of enjoyment from and really feel part of what's going on. And that's the most important part about what I do with the Liverpool gigs. It's bringing people together and making people feel part of something special and part of, like, a movement, almost, you know what I mean? And, like, I think it helps people, like, obviously come together, but it makes you think, yeah, it's more than just a game. This is is what we do, you know what I mean? This is us, and it's...
Well, you put yourself in the history books, I reckon, for the final. So your name will always be there.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, I've got music out there as well now, so that's one way that your name can always sort of forever stay in time. But just hopefully the album enhances my name, and we can, and more than anything else, hopefully that I can get back to playing live music, both at Liverpool matches and with my bands on tour, and touring my album as well.
We all need to get back on stage, don't we, Sam?
We all do. I think everyone wants to know score prediction for the derby, mate. And if we win it at the derby.
Well, it's a tough one because score prediction would be a lot easier if I'd have seen how Everton had played last 3 months, but no one knows how they've played. And I mean, look, I only looked at a few highlights of the behind closed doors game that Liverpool played against each other at Anfield the other week, and I took some great positives from that because Mane looked absolutely on fire. He looked like lightning, like he looked like he was playing a game on his own, to be honest. So based off that, I'd probably go with a Mane goal. Maybe go with 2-0. Don't think it should be too troubling. I think Everton not having their fans at Goodison will help Liverpool massively, like tenfold. Because as much as like we talk about Liverpool fans being intimidating on Derby Day, the way how up for it they are at Goodison, it's a horrible place to go. They make the game not a game of football. It's almost a battle. Their fans turn that game into a battle. They're that bloodthirsty. You know what I mean? To get one over on us or hurt us in any way. You know what I mean? That's like it really is, because they don't get too many big, like they'll say it themselves. No. Don't get too many wins against us these days. So when they've got the home advantage, they really like to do the best to make it count. And rightly so. That's how every football team should support the team. You know what I mean? I'm not like when Liverpool go to Goodison, it's a loud, shaky stadium, and sometimes it gets to the players because you can't beat them 4-5-0 in Anfield and then look like a different team sometimes when you go to Goodison. So I think for Liverpool, having Everton's not in the stadium, I think that'll be a massive bonus for us. So yeah, I go with 2-0. You never know, though. That might be. Well, I think it will be. I think it'll be a disadvantage for Liverpool, not having the fans at Anfield, because we all know the football without fans isn't quite football. But you've got to, there's nothing anyone can do about it at this moment.
You just have to get you in the stand on your own, and then just sing.
Yeah, I know. But the only thing about that is, mate, it's just like I say, the only reason that it works, me doing what I do, is because people join in singing with me. If I was to sing on a stage with nobody, nobody listening along, if I was singing on a stage with nobody singing along and people were just sort of filming me, the video I wouldn't be able to do what I do, because it's all about whipping the crowd up and getting them singing with you. So yeah, but let's hope that it won't be too long before at least some people can get back into Anfield and support them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, there we go, folks. I think that's it for tonight's Sea Live podcast. Thank you so much, Jamie, for taking the time to speak to us this evening. Make sure that you go and pre-order Jamie Webster's new album, We Get By. Like he said, available on iTunes, Spotify, and all music streaming platforms. Chris, as always, thank you so much.
Cheers, mate, and we'll see you next week, and we might have a little bit of something new to tell you, won't we, next week?
We'll have a little something. There'll be a sponsor definitely next week. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you so much again, Jamie, and as always, stay safe, everyone. Thank you. Good night and God bless. Bye-bye.